radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing? How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. I have utensils now. Yeah, Kimla, I have utensils. I have utensils in front of me. What are they for? This is Fade to Black. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Yeah. Okay. All right. The movie Friday, Chris Tucker, right? Ice Cube, the movie Friday. I wore that film out. And, I was friends with Ice Cube, and he had sent me over. I'm serious too. He had sent me a case of CDs and stuff, but in that gift box, which I still have, was a special edition of the movie Friday. And I wore it out so much that I started to talk like Chris Tucker. And one of the lines from that was, "Let's do this, man." And it's so funny to me how that movie changed me so much. And I just thought it was the greatest thing ever made. I said, nobody knows where that came from. Nobody goes, "Hey, man, Friday." It's crazy. Now you know. Let's do this, man. All right. So this week I'm Fade to Black. Last night, I do want to say it was a lot of fun for me to do the show that we did last night, and for me to, just hit go and do an improvised 2-hour presentation with some large panchromatic subject like the history of us. But that was a lot of fun last night, and although with reflection, I left a lot of stuff on the table, but I really enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed it, and I hope that you did, but if you enjoyed it, if you learned something, let me know. Let the moderators know. Shoot me an email, because I would like to do more of those. I am serious. Although I was toast. When I host, I'm asking questions, and I've got a brilliant guest in front of me, like tonight. And you know how I do this show, there's no questions and we just have a conversation. And it's a whole nother taxation of the brain to just speak for 2 hours with no notes. That was, man, I was done last night. And I got a bunch of texts last night after the show. "Hey, man, how you doing?" Yeah, it was like that. But tonight, Kim Desrosiers with us tonight. Tonight, we're going to be doing Precog and some other stuff tonight. So stay tuned for that, kids. This is going to be pretty cool. And tomorrow night, John and EJ Craig join us. Proactive Disclosure, husband and wife team, and how they are approaching it with their software. So we will be talking about that tomorrow night. Then Thursday night, pretty big night. Daniel Brinkley is here for The Interview. I've done a lot of shows with Daniel. Thursday night, we're going to get it done. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so there you go. My next event coming up is the Contact Modalities Expo. And it's coming up pretty quick here, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026 in Delavan, Wisconsin. The links for it are below on our website, throughout social media. Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO, contactmodalitiesexpo.com. And what's the date today? The 24th. It's a month away, and I'm heading back to the Midwest. My home. It's going to be so much fun. So let's get things started. Very excited about the show tonight. And after the show from last night, where I talked about some spots in ancient history where cultures just seemed to have a grip, but they had the grip on consciousness and other things beyond our normal 2D, 3D reality. But cultures had the time to develop these things. Today, it's just a very fast-paced world, right? So how do we develop these things today in this fast-paced world where everything is instant and instant gratification? Well, I'll really want to jump into that tonight. One show is rolling into the other. That's right. And precognition, it's a big subject. How it gets done, how you can start your practices to get yourself centered and get into this. All of this through Tibetan teachings and real world examples. We're going to do all of that tonight. And probably the most fascinating aspect of all of this, which is our body's natural energetic system and how to activate it. We're going to do all of that and much more. Hey, wait a minute. Before I go and I welcome, are we just going with Kimla tonight? No last name?
Well, you did so well pronouncing it. You could say it as much as you want.
Desrosiers. It's a great last name, by the way. It's a great last name. Welcome to the show, Kimla. Now, see, you just threw everything. Now we just tilted a little bit, and I've got to work through this. But before we get started, you get the first time guest disclaimer. Although we've met before and we're friends, but you get the first time guest disclaimer. But it's a precog show. You knew this was coming, right? Right. Kimla, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go. You have to accept.
I accept.
Oh, man. Right on. This is going to be great. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were. How many, before we get, serious about this for a second, how many jokes and videos and memes and punchlines in movies, when it comes to precog, does that stuff get old, or is it because people are interested in it, but they're uncomfortable, so they want to crack jokes about it, right? You knew this was coming, right? Does it get old?
And not for me. I find the dimension of time to be incredibly powerful and useful as a reflective tool in my life and working with people. So, I mean, I love the movie The Arrival. I don't know if you saw that, but I think
I've worn it out. I've worn it out. Worn it out.
It's so good, and it just shows the time loop nature of our reality, the spiral nature, and levels of awareness, as the main character comes into different levels of what's happening. She doesn't really know she's precognitive. When she sees her daughter, she doesn't know who that is, right? And so it has this very true feeling if you start receiving precognitive information about why you receive it. And that movie reflects that back very expertly, very gently, and very emotionally, because
so emotionally.
Yeah.
So I'm Kimla, I'm a hard ass. Okay. All right. I listen to heavy metal. I heavy metal music. I cry every time those scenes come up in that movie. It is so well done. And plus, when you're a parent too, that's the extra energy, the extra juice in those scenes. But to tie all of that into precog and time being a gift presented to the world, right, from ET, and how it can be used, very, very well written. But what do? they use a mother-daughter relationship. Not only that, but a daughter that is extremely ill, and what a parent has to go through. So now she's reliving it too, as well, through the time travel. It was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a beautiful story, and the father too, right? As he grapples with this not wanting to know. If you remember from the movie, he's upset by the choice. That's actually why they break up, is because she made the choice knowing, and he would have made a different choice, right? And so you
Brutal.
can, yeah, so you can see how our different personalities deal with knowing about the future, right? Some people online, I'm sure, are gamers, right? And so some people want to use hacks, right? Because it's more fun for them to use a hack and be able to get additional superpowers in the game. And some people don't want that. And each of us, it can be open to receiving what we need in every moment. And there's just, we're going to go through that a little bit later about how to set that up for yourself, how to really use the technology, inner technology, to make the requests, to evoke the right mindset, to evoke the right power of the heart, to charge that up. There are certain steps that are necessary in using this technology, inner technology. But if it's something you're interested in, that you feel aligned to, everyone can do it. Everyone can do it.
Well, we're going to do some stuff tonight here on the show. So we're going to put those words to the test, aren't we? Okay,
Yes.
right.
We are.
I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about this. We were talking about the Psi Games earlier. You and I met there. There were some moments at the Psi Games where even I was brought to my knees. I dropped on that stage a couple of times because I'm very into this. But you know what we all want, including that audience that was there, that was very rambunctious and happy, because we want to see it. Right? We want that experience. And I had that experience a few times on that stage. The ideas presented with all of this precog and PK and what have you, telepathy, and all of these things, it's all a great story. It's almost mythology. It's almost folklore. But you know what? We want to see the action. We really want to. Do you remember? I'll give you an example, then we'll move on. Remember when we had the wheels, and everybody was right. Okay, what did we have? We had like 4 booths, 5,
Yeah.
4,
4.
and we had a video camera on everybody that was up on the big screens. And so everybody is watching, and the instructions, right? Move it left, move it right, stop it. They're watching that, and they're watching everybody do it. And that place was like a Rihanna concert, wasn't it?
It was
Right?
really intense. Yeah.
It was great. And when everybody's yelling, I'm like, okay, but they're over here. They're looking at her. It was like, wow. It was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How did you get into this? Is it DNA? Is it your family, or did something else happen?
Well, I think it's all of it. I think that it's the alignment to all of those things. And I didn't grow up with any what the Tibetans call, cities, or subtle energy awarenesses. I was very focused on the heart, but in terms of method, or the practices that allow for the emergence of these cities or superpowers, I didn't have any of that. I was just you know a girl who liked to play in the woods and play with her animals and friends. So and then I grew up and went to college and got married, and was a very much a materialist thinker. I was this environmental engineer. I have a master's in engineering science, and worked as an environmental consultant for many years. So I was pretty happy just doing the compassion practices of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which was I started practicing in my late 20s, and very much found Buddhism and just knew it was a practice. It was a spiritual tradition that I needed to study, and felt at one with the practices when I read about them. So, but before
Well,
that,
what? Yeah, yeah. Okay. See, that's precog. You knew what my question was. Wow, that was pretty weird. That was pretty weird. So, um, how do you go from a materialist? I'm gonna say capitalist too as well, right?
mhm,
That
mhm.
that lifestyle, and then somehow just bang a left hand turn into Buddhism. The two don't naturally go together, do they?
Well, I was raised Catholic, and there's actually a lot of miracles that are talked about in a Catholic mass, right? And even from the transmutation from the body and blood of Christ, right, which is like a wafer and wine, and somehow that's getting physically transmuted into his actual body and blood, right? And that is part of the rite. There is no question that that's actually supposed to be happening in that practice. So actually, the Catholics and their miracles actually have a lot to do with um, uh, believing in something and non-physical aspects of our mind. Now, the Catholic tradition, sees all of that as in more of a, or at least presents it in a more hierarchical system than the Buddhists. The Buddhists have like these meditational deities or yidams that we use, but you're actually supposed to become the yidam. You're not supposed to worship it. So so there were a lot of parallels in terms of the miracles of an coming at it from a engineering standpoint and a cause and effect viewpoint. When I read a chapter in a book called Houston Smith's World Religions, um, I think I was actually just passing out of atheism phase, like for 6 months. Everybody goes through those, right?
Yep,
Right?
yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
yeah. You got to clear it out, right, and get empty, right? And the atheists will do that for you. So I
It wrecked me. It wrecked me for about a year. I mean, okay. So same thing with you. Um, Catholic, baptized. I did that whole thing. My last name is
Mhm.
Church. It's not too hard to figure out. But even in going to church when I was a kid, and the whole wafer and wine and body of Christ, and and the little all that going. I was like, man, no, no. Even at a young age, I just didn't quite get it. But
Mm.
you're right, though. When you release that, everybody goes through a phase. Oh, well, not everybody, but that's a difficult thing to do, because when you're raised a certain way, right? That's part of you. Then you let that go, and atheism and other conspiracies come in, and your brain gets twisted up. I was really messed up for a minute there, and I came out of the other side who I am now, which is I'm not so sure about religion, but if I'm going anywhere, I'm I think the Buddhists have it right.
Mm.
It's closer to right. I don't even. It's
Yeah.
it's really it's really strange. Where everything in other religions, especially in Christianity, miracles are religious. That's a religious thing. That is a and miracles I mean, are things that you practice.
Right.
Right? You
Right.
follow what I'm saying? It's
Definitely.
discipline.
Yeah.
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 Which easier for me to chew. No,
Well,
I'm being serious.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that was what resonated for me too, was that there wasn't something outside telling you what to do. It was, I mean, the Tibetan Buddhists are the the practices that I adopted for myself. And, you know, the four reliances are the most important hierarchical system. And the three lowest ones, meaning the least authoritative, have to do with your guru and the teachings and the written teachings. The highest reliance is your own experience, your own experience. So that opens up the possibilities and potentials for a lot of things to happen. If you start trusting your own experience, Jimmy, over that of a priest or someone else, even a guru, um, and you start trusting your own mind, then who's the authority? Then who's the
That's right.
sovereign,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah. So I think that they do have within their system a lot of north arrows for how we can come into our own sovereign state. And nobody, people can have these mundane cities be able to precognitively get information or have awarenesses. All you need is an open third eye. Within your chakra system, it doesn't mean that you're an enlightened being. It just means that you have a level of awareness for how to receive information. And so there can be, you know, um, you know, the players out there that are using those psychic gifts for service to self instead of um, and enlightening one's own sovereign nature. So I teach this a lot in classes and with clients and with the Psi Games, right, and their intensives. That just because someone's precognitive, you can't necessarily trust them because you don't know what their agenda is. You don't know what their soul is about. You don't even know necessarily if it's just energy and no soul, right? And you do a lot of work in that ET um, subject matter area, and some of those ETs are puppets, right? In essence, some of them that
Sure.
yeah, don't have souls, right? So you have to learn actually how to read the energy to be able to align to what that energy is about and take a neutral view of it to be able to read it. And that's what a lot of psychics do who are professionals. They clear their energy field first, they receive the information from a neutral standpoint. And it's also why psychics themselves sort of get caught up in traps because they're not that good at being neutral on their own stuff, right?
Yep.
And they can get an ego inflation out of that when they're not grounded to reality and for themselves, right? And we have many, many cases in lots of spiritual circles, religious circles, ET circles, around that person is, they have that ability or can even um, use psychic attacks, right? Which is when I say psychic, the Tibetans would just say subtle energy, non-physical energy, right? There's no like specialness to it. It's just a layer of energy that you come into awareness of at a certain point because the chakras have opened so that you can be aware of it.
How do you've got a master's material science, right? That's a
And, yeah, engineering science. Hmm.
it's same thing, same thing, same
Yeah.
thing. And how does your journey jive with that type of scientific background? And do you attempt to merge it and apply the science to this?
Yeah, I worked as an engineer and mediator for 29 years. So, these cities started coming in 2014. They all came in at once. So before that, I didn't have any non-material or subtle energy awareness. I was very much working in the physical, the physical Newtonian physics, and reading a lot actually on quantum physics, because Newtonian physics doesn't take care of everything, or even temporal physics, right? So all those things are really good precursors for understanding the subtle energy. And all of that work really allowed for me to understand the movement of energy within that paradigm, so that I could start when things started happening, you know, and I'm sure people in your comments and your listeners have been through ego deaths, where they're letting go of this ego. What I'm going to say is more like ego as a structured set of structured energy that keeps you in resistance from moving in higher, into higher dimensions. And it's meant to give us a human experience. I mean, the ego is a brilliant creation by some beings somewhere that
Mhm.
allows for us to have this human experience, because you and I are sitting here. We're not, our energy is, you know, provisionally overlapping through electromagnetic fields and focused attention, but we're not merged into a singular being or into the all, right? So the ego allows us to be in separation. So it's an experience of that ego that, lets us live as a human, but it can also keep us from change. So as my ego, you know, was dying through Tibetan practices and going and meeting and sitting at the feet of His Holiness the Dalai Lama the first time, that totally opened up my channels so that
Wait. What did you just say?
so in 2014, after I was doing all my work as an engineer, I had been practicing in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition pretty rigorously. I was also a mom, so I was doing it at night, um, and from home and on my cushion every night, and had taken His Holiness the Dalai Lama as my teacher. But in 2014, I went to Ladakh, India, where he was offering what the Tibetan Buddhists call a wang. In Sanskrit, it's called an abhisheka. And basically, it's an empowerment ceremony where you're learning and receiving the empowerment of an energy to be able to do that practice effectively going forward. And so that practice that I was signed up to do was called the Kalachakra, meaning wheel of time. That's how it translates, wheel of time. So this relates to our precognition, subject, because the wheel of time is the chakra of time. It's understanding how time moves, the dimension of time works. And I went to India to sit with His Holiness to receive this wang, this abhisheka, and to learn from him and receive the teachings that he was offering with my group. I went over with a small group from Tibet House
With the Dalai Lama.
with the 14th Dalai
Wow.
Lama, Tenzin Gyatso. Yeah,
Is he I'm just asking for me, please.
yeah.
And I'm not in any way cracking any jokes. Wouldn't do that about his grace. But is he as cool as I think he is?
He's even cooler. He's
Right,
even
he is,
cooler.
isn't he?
Yeah. He is, and yeah, let me tell you, he is such an incredible epistemologist. His facility in epistemological argument is compares to none. I mean, he's exceptionally gifted intellectually. He can, English is not his first language, obviously, but he has excellent translators into English. Tipton Jim was an excellent translator that I've benefited from his translations for many years, but he is like such an incredible scholar and practitioner himself.
And a
It,
great sense of humor, too.
great sense of humor, and I love the bromance with him and who was it? The Art Desmond Tutu. They have such an incredible bromance together, because there's these they're like these big spiritual leaders, but they're also really funny and have just a lot of humor and kindness. And he's such, I mean, he's an incredible Buddha of compassion, His Holiness. And
His
yeah, so
intellect, his intellect. I this is I just want your opinion. Just tell me if I'm wrong. But the leaders in quantum physics, theoretical physics, maybe even astrophysics, those leaders could learn so much, because when it comes to consciousness, the conversation stops in the world of physics. They just don't want to
mm,
have that conversation.
mhm.
But they would benefit by sitting down with the Dalai Lama and discussing what consciousness is, and how the brain and the physiology of humans
Mhm.
apply to a non-local situation like consciousness. I think that the Dalai Lama fully gets it, and he needs to share that with the world of hard sciences. That's my take.
Well, now you're being precognitive because he's done that. But in the past. Yeah, he doesn't, I don't think he does it so much anymore, but there was a time when he was a bit younger and was traveling the world, and he had, his physicist friends were like David Bohm. I mean, he was, he was talking and learning the language and the nomenclature of quantum theory and quantum mechanics, so he could speak to and merge those two disciplines, the inner Tibetan technology and practices, as well as quantum theory. And so there's an excellent book called The Universe in a Single Atom, where he talks about that very topic that you would really enjoy. I'm sure it's still available, but
No,
he's
I have that book, and there are a few pages in that book that, I'm just going to be honest with you, I've completely stolen, um, because the ideas are profound.
yeah, they are.
They
Yeah.
are just, you just, oh, uh, why doesn't why isn't this taught at Cambridge? Why isn't this taught at Caltech?
Yeah.
Why isn't this taught at MIT, when you're going in and you're taking your prerequisite physics stuff in your first semester there? This should be right on the table.
Well, remember the movie Oppenheimer, and
Hmm.
he talks about his some of his inspirations from these level of the Vedic texts, and I'm thinking also too of Russell Targ, who
Hmm.
I've heard him speak about his inspiration around remote viewing, how he even got the concept that he could remote view was from Nagarjuna, which is I think 5th century Tibetan philosopher. And he was talking about the concept of shunyata, emptiness. And that translates, right, as you know from reading Universe in a Single Atom, that's the void. That's the ideas of superposition and how
That's right.
can we can understand these classical epistemological texts within various ancient traditions and translate them into more quantum theory. And there's another book that I don't know if you've read, but it's very good, is The Quantum and the Lotus. And that's a conversation between Mathieu Ricard, who's a Tibetan Buddhist teacher and used to be I think he was a physicist, definitely a scientist, and and a quantum physicist he talks to, and it's a dialogue between them. That's another fascinating um, discussion in that book.
I'm ordering it right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is where my heart lies, right here. Stuff like this. Okay. No, I'm literally. Oh man. Okay. All right. Done. All right. It is going to be here. Man, I'm all excited. Thursday.
Yeah, you'll love that. You'll love that book.
There is something with my journey, which I think is very similar to yours. Once you have a couple of experiences that shouldn't be, right, that we're told, that no, and then when you have those, I turn to science for answers, for an explanation, instead of, what's the alternative? You lose your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got,
Mm-hmm.
you think you're crazy, and people are, no, I need science to support my woo,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how I approach it. Now let's talk about some specific things before we get to the top of the hour and the break. um Portals, accessing portals for precog, that is a heavy, broad description of what is going on. But so I want to get into that and what those definitions are. But certainly self energy and finding out where that is. These are the first steps into understanding precognition, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Can you
So
hear
let's
this
start.
dog crying?
Nope.
Okay,
And
good.
I encourage dogs.
Okay, he's crying. So I just
What
wanted
kind
to.
of dog? What kind of dog?
Let's see if I can bring him over. He's the cutest. Quasar, come here. Of course, his name is
Quasar?
Quasar. Hold on 1 second.
This is the best. How many shows have we done this? What have we got here? Oh, no way.
Weren't you talking about the movie Friday? I think there's a bull terrier in that
Yes, there is.
movie. Yeah.
That is handsome at a whole nother level right there. Hey, Quasar.
Hey.
He's amazing. Oh, man. Yeah, totally
He's so
cool.
cute.
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Bud Light dog. Yeah. Everybody's
Yeah.
got like a target dog, Oh,
oh man. Oh man. Where were I just totally lost? Okay, so let's talk about our body energy and creating portals foundationally, because I want to learn some stuff tonight, and I want to be taught. So let's go through this. How does the body do this?
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I think I have some.
We're live, right?
Oh,
Kimla?
I don't. Oh, I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay. Yeah.
Hold on a second. I don't know what I hit here. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Okay, it stopped. No, it's
Are
still
you
there.
sure? No. I wonder if it's. Okay, I think I got it. Sorry about that, guys. The dog hit the button.
Blame it on Quasar. Blame it on Quasar. Okay, body energy and creating portals.
Okay. Yes. So we have a subtle energy system, right? That is a part of our body. It's localized to our body, and there's channels and there's vortices. So the channels, this is pretty commonly understood in the East. It's just we don't work with it in the West. It's just very much outside of conventional medicine, allopathic medicine. I'm not really quite sure why the electrical system of our bodies isn't studied, but we can also see it in biofield imaging using biophotons. We can actually see the chakra system. And if you use biofield imaging, you can see all of the chakras very clearly. So this is not this is actual science. This is nothing exceptional in terms of what we can see with our own eyes using objective measures. There are chakras, there are channels to the system. So the architecture is pretty routine. I've done thousands of biofield images on clients and students. I've done it through the Monroe Institute, and what we see there is just all of the chakras in a line along a central channel. And we also see the energy as it emanates out from the center into the extremities, and then also into a field that people know as the auric field. But you can also see that within the biophotons that are around the body. If you're clairvoyant, you can see that auric field as well. You can see it clearly in color and shape, and you can distinguish it from the physical body. So these are pretty routine. So routine, I don't really even do biofield imaging anymore because it's something that is just I don't know. It's better to learn how to feel it, I feel, because when you're meditating and you're working with your own subtle energy, you really do want to feel where the energy is so you can move it, right? Seeing it isn't that, it doesn't have a great relationship. It's not a great sense for being able to open the chakras, because once you know that it's there, you can work with it. So clairsentience or clear feeling is a much more direct way of actually moving the energy in that energy body. So you're moving the energy in the way that will allow for these abilities to be evoked. So yeah, so the vortices, the chakras, there's a few main ones that are with key practices that people do, that I train with PK or other subtle energy practices. That's the one at your solar plexus. That's sort of the top chakra for the lower chakra part of the system. The heart is a key chakra. Thematically, the heart generates a lot of power. And then the third eye and the crown are also important for these practices. And the way you connect them, the way you move the energy through them, that can create portals of experiences that you can have
into the future.
Well, yes, into the future. Yes.
Right. I was with a friend this weekend, and we were having a conversation, but she asked me, and I didn't have a real answer for her. But she said, "So Jimmy, are you doing your chakra work?" Now, by her asking me that, I didn't have it. I can't bullshit my way through that. And I can't say, well, yeah, when I don't know specifically what she's talking about. But I kind of danced a little bit. But the reason why I was I took a step back, I thought, does she know that I'm not? Right? Is there something that she sees? Where, you know what I mean? Where your dentist is like, dude, are you flossing? Yeah, I'm flossing. No, you're not. Right. It's kind of the same thing. I think she saw something in me.
Yeah, that's in your auric field, there's just many layers of information that's emanating from you. It's sort of your past and your future, and your present, all within that field. That it goes out forever, but most of the auric information is pretty close to the body. So yes, you can definitely, when any time you're reading someone, you're reading that. Now, some people are better than others at reading with specificity, right? Just like if you know a lot about the subject, if you know what frequencies in Jimmy, are a match to, whether you've been doing your chakra work or not, you're going to get a sense in your own body if the answer to the question is, accurate, inaccurate. And this is actually when I was working as a mediator and an engineer, and I had already come into my abilities, that we would be mediating cases and interviewing folks for the mediation, and you could tell who was nervous, who was hiding something, who was uncomfortable. You could tell a lot from what they were saying. Sometimes you could tell they were just plain lying. But that has to do with the frequency that you're picking up and experiences you've had personally of that frequency, so you can match it. You have to be careful, because you have to have enough experiences interpreting what that energy frequency is. You can make some misassumptions if you're not quite at the right match. But yeah, she's reading it in your auric field.
So my chakra pendant with the 7 crystals in it, that's not good enough. I have
No.
I have to go beyond that. See, I thought I had my
You're
bases
ready.
covered.
I know. You're ready. You're ready. We're gonna do spoon bending, and you're gonna want to do it.
I was say that's supposed to be a surprise. Kimla just slipped. She just slipped. Yeah, we're going after the break, everybody. Yeah, I have utensils. Okay. Are there moral or ethical guardrails that one needs to apply with precog? I mean, it seems like the stock market is open season, right?
Yeah.
If you're good at precog and
Right.
and your energy is correct and your portals are lined up, you know what I mean? Are there guardrails that should be observed?
I mean, knowing that you have karma, so part of the subtle energy system along that central channel, there's 2 side channels, a sun and a moon channel, and those 2 side channels contain that subtle energy that goes with karma, so cause and effect. So if your ethics are less than, you can have ethics, but morals, like how you apply your ethics, if they're not quite in alignment, you're going to have a lesson that manifests, that teaches you that quite directly.
What, like
So
you lose everything?
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. And I know people don't see that for if they feel like people are working the stock market, but it's just a it's a metaphysical reality that this is happening. But we don't need to actually concern ourselves with others, because when you do your own practice and you screw up, you get instant feedback on, oh, if I do this, I caused this for myself. So this is a natural system of evolution, is working with your own energy channels that are karmic in nature. And then eventually what you end up doing is just not generating new karma, because you've learned all the lessons you came here to learn from that. And then you live in a state free of karma. So yeah, that's sort of the chakra system in a nutshell. So once you get up to this crown, the sovereign state, you're not really working with karmic seeds anymore, as long as you've gone to completion, is what the Tibetans would say, completion stage practice.
If you step out of bounds and you know that you are, I'm talking about morally, right?
Uh-huh.
And you step out of bounds, but you do it with intention. You know it, right? You know that you stepped out of bounds. Catholics go to confession, right?
Right.
That's what they do.
Right.
Is there something you can do in the Buddhist traditions that balances out your misstep?
Yeah, aware. It's really the idea is getting into the becoming aware, becoming awake. That's all the Buddha. The Buddha would walk around and people would say, "Oh, are you a god?" Or like, "What? We know something's different about you. What's going on?" And he said, "I'm not a god. I'm not anything. I'm just awake." So awareness allows for you to, once you're aware, say you had that, oh, I made a mistake. I did that thing, I regret it. You purify it with your thought, with your mind, and there's different practices. You can clear it from your body. Like that cough was just a reminder for me to say, this is, the purging that you do is a purification practice. But that's why Tibetans and Buddhists meditate, because they're working through that energy and keeping good energy hygiene practices. If like when I took my vows with His Holiness the Dalai Lama to do this practice, the Kalachakra, there's 90 vows you take that act as a as guardrails, right, for your behavior, for your action, because as you increase in this spiritual energy, it's amplified, so you can harm much more quickly, and you don't want to do that. So it gives you some really clear boundaries. Now, I don't ask people to take vows. I don't think anyone would here, but and I don't think it's necessary, honestly, with the people I work with. The people are on your radio show. I just don't run into that level of energy.
Dickery,
Yeah,
dickery.
right. Yes.
The
And
Dalai
usually
Lama would say dickery. He would
he
say it.
really, yeah, he
He
would.
would. He would. He
Yeah.
would say dickery.
So we have to be our own gurus, really, in these practices. We have to know and be open and accepting of whatever happens, and know that, I'll get a second chance. I do something and had unexpected consequences. Those consequences are something that you're aware of now. You see the cause and effect, and then you do it differently the next time, right? I mean, we're doing that all the time anyway, with our day-to-day mundane life, right? Where you don't pick up a hot item and burn yourself because you've learned not to do that. And that's the same way that the subtle energy works, that you try something, you get feedback, and then you don't do it again, right?
Is
Well,
precog the same as deja vu?
no, no. Yeah, deja vu is like a subcategory of precog, right?
Right.
Um, but deja vu can be aligning you to past lives. So it could be just a remembrance from another timeline that precedes your existing incarnation, right? Where you're getting in an awareness. It can also be an awareness of a future timeline. And
Right.
have you had those before as well?
I had, I don't want to sound like I'm some troubled mental patient. Okay. I don't want to sound that way. I precog and deja vu every day. There's something that goes on. There's something, and when the deja vu happens, I enjoy it. I stretched out my neck today on this t-shirt, and it just looks like I'm not who I am. Like I'm trying to. I just got back from the gym. Oh, you're working out? Oh, you noticed? No, kinda. That I stop and enjoy these moments when they happen.
Mm,
But deja vu is more like a real-time precog, right? That's happening in the moment.
mhm.
And that's pretty special when that happens. And then the precog stuff, I don't go too far out into the future. It's days, I'll go, 24, 72 hours on the, but I'll make a mental note of it and then see what happens.
Yep.
But I'm speaking in a very natural situation where I
Right.
think this happens to everybody all the time if they stop and smell the flowers.
Absolutely. And it definitely happens every morning when you wake up and remember your dreams. So your dreams in the nighttime, right? The way the Tibetans see it, and there's a practice called dream yoga and sleep yoga. But in dream yoga practice, we're waking up, we're remembering our dreams, we're getting lucid on our dreams, because we're trying to establish we're an understanding of our future, right? So the beginning part of the dream cycle in our tradition is the past. these are forms, experiences, recurring dreams. Those are all past experiences. You have them at the beginning. At the end of the evening, you have your future. And then in the middle of the evening, you're both the past and the future are meeting in the middle, and it's chaos. So you're trying to work out what you want to experience in the future, the entire dream cycle. So when you look at it, what comes out of the wash in the morning, those are your thought forms, your feeling senses that want to have those experiences again. Now, not that you need to have that experience again, just like any precognitive experience is giving you information about the future. But when you wake up in the morning, you remember, I dreamed about this. Now it's all symbols, so you have to interpret it. But when you know this is going to happen, my tendency is to want to have this experience again. You can, with intention, change that, right? By saying, I don't actually want to do that. I don't want to have that experience. So your mind is kind of working out the past and the future all through the evening. And again, you can't think about time linearly in that construct, because it won't work out. It's more like what you see in The Arrival, in the movie The Arrival, where the entire thing, the alpha and the omega, are formed, the beginning and the end are formed at the same now moment. And the rest of the experiences of that beginning and end are flushed out in an enzo, or in a circle like this. So that's kind of the way that to think about your dream experience, from when you go to sleep to when you wake up. That's actually what's happening. But again, these are nonlinear ways of understanding the nature of what's happening. If you were thinking linearly, we're pretty much limiting ourselves, into a more restrictive construct. That's why
Well,
quantum.
we're raised in that linear, and watches, clocks are everywhere. You've got to be at work at 8 a.m. Everything is linear. Your birthday, Christmas is coming. Everything is linear. To break out of that is very confusing. It's a tough way to think about it. And you're right about the way that it's presented in Arrival, in language, in speaking, and in concepts of time. We're all at the same time. It seemed like Arrival, the writers, the creators, and the science behind it, I came away from that going, they know something. There's something else being presented here based in truth. Right? Do you follow what I'm saying? I don't think it was that subtle either. It was so out there, these concepts of not only time, but speech and how to write. Remember, it was backwards and forwards all at the same time, right? In a circle, and it was nonlinear. Maybe ET would really understand those concepts better. No, not better. Have broken through to those concepts, a place where we are not yet.
Yeah, I think that level of consciousness, if you are creating and manifesting through thought alone, that it's a necessity to think multidimensionally like that, through the entire dimension of time, taking the time of the dimension of time as a whole, or as a spiral, or as an enzo or a circle. Like, you can see all the ways that you can work with time. It's not just the line, but I mean, we even know this, right, from physics. We already know from our applied physics, like PET scans, right? Positrons are positively charged electrons, right? So when you have that release of gamma from a PET scan, that gamma is telling you that the time is going in reverse. And Richard Feynman got the Nobel Prize for this finding, because there was another physicist who did all the math and said, this is how positrons work. And Feynman came in and said, well, all your math would work perfectly if you assumed the arrow of time in reverse. And that got him the Nobel Prize. And that's how we can apply positrons in our technology, because those are actually working in reverse time. So that's just one example of how actually we live within a world that does have reverse arrows of time. And this is very much how precognition works, is that you are simply remembering a future moment when that occurs, because the arrow of time of your perception is in the opposite direction.
That's brilliant, by the way. And that's an easier thing to grasp than jumping into a nonlinear, for most people,
Yes.
nonlinear conversation.
Yes.
And Feynman, out of all the, you know what? I like all the physicists, and they don't agree with each other. If you really want to hear a good argument, get two physicists in the room, and stuff gets brutal. But the reason for that, and so Feynman, out of all of those, Niels Bohr, all those cats, right? But Feynman had a way that was brilliant, where he could talk to the every man or the every woman or the every person and go through these ideas graphically. Man, he was so good on a chalkboard, wasn't he? And the way that he just in a picture, right? In a very simple thing, where you go, oh, I'm a physicist. Yeah, okay, I've got this figured. But Feynman, I think, was okay getting out of the material side of this and maybe accepting something else pretty crazy and fun going on out there. And I think he had a very open mind, which allowed him to do these things. He was one of the best.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. We're going to take a break here. All of his available lectures I've watched.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've watched them all. I love that guy. Let's take our break right here, Kimla. You stay right there. Tonight it's precognition. That's right. And what is going on with this? We'll find out when we come back. Kimla, you stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We're going to take a quick break. See you when we come back.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month.
I am hosting, speaking, and presenting once again for the Conscious Life Expo, the largest conference of its type in the world. February 20th through the 23rd, 2026 at the LAX Hilton. Speakers, event, and schedule easy. Just visit ConsciousLifeExpo.com. I will be hosting and speaking at the Sedona Retreat, March 20th through the 22nd, 2026 in Sedona, Arizona. An amazing list of speakers, and it's beautiful Sedona. Come and hang out with us and just go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. I'm heading back to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026, in Delavan, Wisconsin, at the Lake Resort. It is beautiful. This is a great conference right in the heart of the Midwest, where I'm from. I'll see you there. Just go to Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO.com. I will be hosting and presenting once again at Contact in the Desert. That's May 28th through June 1st, 2026, the largest UFO conference in the world. Come and hang out with us June 23rd through July 1st. Tickets and everything else that you need is at contactinthedesert.com. Want to change your life? Want that paradigm shift? Then visit Peru with Brian Forster and myself for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. A full 10 days of visiting the country, all of the amazing sights, and of course, the celebration of the winter solstice. It's all simple to do. Go to hiddenincatours.com. Come join us for the Monty Python Scotland Tour, August 1st through the 9th, 2026. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event where you get to go to the castles from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. August 1st through the 9th, 2026. Just visit HaleyARamsey.com. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade to black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Jimmy Church, Gaia TV, Fade to Black, here at Machu Picchu with Brian Forster and Hidden Inca Tour. Amazing tour so far, Brian, but we're here to announce what we're going to do next year in 2026. What's going on?
Okay, November 2026, we're going to have our major tour of Peru and Bolivia, either a pre or post tour of Paracas and Nazca on the coast. And then after that, 6 days in Easter Island.
Bucket list, Easter Island. Come join Brian and I and his amazing team here at Hidden Inca Tours for Peru, Bolivia, and Easter Island. Signing out. Say goodbye, Brian.
Bye, gang.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best. It's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Kim Desrosiers is with us. We're talking about Precog, developing those abilities for precognition, your energy, and opening up those portals and vortices. We didn't get into that yet. But the practices on developing these skills. And Kimla, I think one of the points that needs to be made here is these same abilities, right? They apply if you develop these abilities and the self-awareness to get there, then everything starts to open up, including PK, right?
Yes, absolutely, because it's all running off the same system. And so your PK abilities are very much related to being able to do, travel through the mind, accessing portals, finding localized portals on the earth as well in the physical, and then tapping into those. So there's, that level of sensitivity allows for you to access all of that.
I have enjoyed different, very special locations around the world. And when you step into some of these very sacred areas that the ancients were tuned into, man, you know what I mean? They knew, you can feel it. You can feel it in your feet and drop. There's a spot. There's many around the world. There's a spot called Amare Muru in Peru on the way to Bolivia, and in the middle of nowhere, by the way. And you've seen it. It's a sandstone hill with this key shaped doorway to nowhere. At the base of this. But I've been there many times, but one day we went through. I'm going to make this very quick. We did a ceremony, and our shaman Wilco, he's just amazing. And so we go through, but everybody I'm there by myself, and the sun is rising. It's early in the morning, 7 a.m. kind of thing. Sun is coming up, and I'm facing the sun, and my eyes are and all of a sudden, right through my feet, right, and it was vibrating, and I put my eyes are closed, and I put my hands up to the sun, and I'm feeling it come up through my body and out of my hands, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is the most incredible thing ever. And as I opened my eyes, there was a lady next to me doing the same thing. Right. And she's like that. And she turns, she goes, do you feel that? I go, this is crazy. Now, my point to that is today we can apply physics and science and all kinds of things, what may or may not be going on there. But the ancients didn't have access to this stuff, but they had developed the abilities of consciousness and self-awareness to find these locations specifically. And they fully embraced and understood all of these concepts, didn't they?
They did. Absolutely. And if you've spent any time with indigenous communities, and I spent a lot of time in New Mexico, and both on the Zuni reservation, or they call themselves the Ashui. They have portals there in their petroglyphs. They keep the heart chakra of their community in one building, and they do ceremonial practices there. And people achieve different states of consciousness because of the music, the sacredness, and the continuation of the energy of the lineage. And they invite in what are called the Kachina, which are interdimensional beings. I mean, people know them as Kachina dolls, but if you engage with them, if you do these energy practices, you can access them through portals. And I ended up doing that. I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but they had me get into water, and then I met several thousand of them as they went through a parade. And it's a physical portal access it's a physical portal because they left evidence of paint on my face, right? On my face after this experience. So, and it was very difficult to get off. It was like an oil-based paint. So about a year after that experience, I went and spoke to a member of one of the pueblos, was a good friend. I told him about the experience, and he said, was that paint difficult to remove? And I said, yes, it was. And he said, yes, that's the Kachina. And we trade pottery with them. So we will access these portals, and they will access those portals to create trade agreements with one another. And we will leave these pots. And if you see a pot with a green mark on it, that means it's a Kachina pot. So this is, these are traditions that are carried on because that tribe believes that it is possible, and they maintain a relationship through these sacred ceremonies with those beings, right? And
did you meet a Kachina?
yeah, yes.
And
Yeah.
what was that like?
I mean, at the time, they're non-physical in that portal. It's not like they have the same density as I have. So, it was the first time I had met them, and I didn't know what was happening. So they look like the dolls. They have all these, really incredible outfits and different clans. I mean, there were thousands of them in this parade. So,
Oh, I thought you had 1,000 of the locals. No, you're saying it was thousands of Kachinas.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of my friends from different tribes have spoken to me about meeting a Kachina for the first time, and I always wanted that experience, but
Mm,
they explained it to me that it was that they are an energy presence. That's what you are seeing. It is an energy presence. It's physical. The energy is in front of you and is physical, but it's not a body like we have. It's an energetic. I don't want to say light being because then that sounds too crystallized,
yeah,
and woke.
yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying.
I do
And
because yeah, it's like a different dimension where we're meeting up with them. So it's like this correlate of who we are doesn't quite match that dimension, but at that portal location, they can experience us and we can experience them, but it's not going to be a direct translation of what we would expect. Does that
mhm,
sound
mhm.
right?
Yes,
Um,
yes, it does. It does.
okay.
It does. I'm fascinated with it. Well, here's the other part with that. We have our cultures here in the Americas that speak about this, but it's every culture on this planet has the same description. It doesn't matter if you're in Ireland or Egypt or Peru. These same presence have been around us since the dawn of man.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the wisdom. I mean, this is the Tibetans, it said, are really the carriers. They were the carriers of the crown chakra of the earth and had the spiritual technology from Lemuria and from the Mu civilization. And they found themselves in the Himalayas and maintained those lineage teachings, the inner technology, and that's why it's passed down from teacher to student in an oral tradition to maintain the integrity of the practices. And um, and now that crown chakra has moved down into Peru, right? It moved, I think, around 2012 or 2014. But it's definitely, I've been to Mount Kailash, which is it's historically considered the crown chakra of the earth for the last 26,000 years or so. But the crown's no longer there. If you go and do pilgrimage around Mount Kailash, you very quickly can read that the crown is no longer there. They carry on the tradition, but the energy of the crown has definitely moved into more of into Peru.
Is that right?
There was a
Is
ceremony too that His Holiness the Dalai Lama had um, ritually gone and met with the tribe that was where they did a sacred transfer of the responsibility down into for humanity's upliftment, for humanity's consciousness, right? This is not talking about a ceremony that did anything with the planet's consciousness. It's just the recognition that the responsibilities are now being transferred to the Peruvian tribes, and this is the upsurgence of of the plant teachers, the master plants, and how they've become a part of the more the wider consciousness upliftment that's going on, and the awarenesses that are opening people up. So these are, this transfer of responsibility was honored in a ceremony where of transfer of the responsibility for humanity, of the maintenance of the teachings that go with that crown.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Peru, I didn't know about any of this until you just told me right now. But
Mhm.
the Peruvian people are the happiest, smartest, wide awake, culture, when you go down there and you experience it firsthand, it's incredible. The entire country is that way. When you go to Cusco for Inti Raymi, which is their winter solstice celebration of the sun, right? And they do it at Sacsay Huaman, and the city of Cusco, it's maybe 500,000 people, on a normal day. But when Inti Raymi comes along, it's 1.5 million people, right? 1 million people come in from around the country. And every town, when I say every, I mean like every town is represented. They have their costumes. They have this parade that lasts for like 20 hours. And you watch them do their dances and come. It is the most emotional, heartwarming thing that you can see from our first world, right? You come from here and you go there, and the way that they embrace their heritage and their culture and how it's represented, it's incredible. What just a happy, fun country that really, really gets spirituality and what consciousness is. If you want to see it for yourself, just go down to Cusco and especially for Inti Raymi and experience their celebration of the sun. It's incredible. It's incredible. And you can tell that these are ancient traditions. It's like being taken back in time. It's so much fun. Let's do some PK. And now, so this is going to be fun. Can you give me a definition of PK? People think about maybe Drew Barrymore and Firestarter, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess it could be that. But what is PK?
Well, we see it in Tibet a lot, but not in the way that we do it here in the West, right? So in Tibet, because they're working with the subtle energy system as part of the culture, what you end up having is a lot of PK stories, so someone will tell you about the tramping, the fast runners that can run very quickly across the plains because they get into a trance and they can run for days, but they're in a trance state, right, the whole time. You see, if you go on pilgrimage, what you'll see is the handprints, footprints, you'll inside the rock, right? They've left calling cards on surfaces of rock, right? And that's PK, because you're allowing yourself to see the emptiness, the shunyata of the object that you are focusing your energy into. You don't see it as a solid thing. You see its potentials, right? And I think I saw that in the chat. People were talking about the potentiality within our experience. And as you relax and release into knowing this aspect of ourselves that is empty in nature, doesn't have an inherent nature, the more tuned in you are to that awareness, the easier it is to do PK, because you don't see the object as an unchanging thing. You see its empty nature is what we say. So the more that you can see the empty nature of an object, the less structure and rules are going to apply to that thing, right? So PK works in that way, right? We just had a PK intensive where I taught spoon bending in Austin. And we'd also worked with magnetics, right? And the engineer in me had never done that before. But I gave it a shot and it was incredible. For whatever reason, it kind of blew my mind that we were magnetizing needles made of stainless steel and picking them up with forks made of stainless steel. I mean, there's no physical explanation except knowing that my mind programmed that needle to be magnetized. That's the only change in variables from when I tried to pick it up the first time and when I tried to pick it up the second time was that I impressed upon that needle the idea that it could be magnetic. Now, the first attempt I made, I was only able to stand the needle up like this, right? I couldn't pick it up with a fork. I had to redo the practice and then say, I need my needle, you need to be 10 times more magnetic. And then I was able to pick it up and move
Get
that
out.
needle. Yes, it's on my YouTube channel. You can see me do it.
Okay.
And I just taught a whole bunch of people at a PK party how to do it. It's really amazing. And that's why it's going to be easy for you to spoon bend tonight, and why anybody who's listening can pick up a fork or a spoon and just walk through the practice with me, because you're going to get it. You're going to do it. Okay. Because we've got peak energy right now. We're excited about this
Right.
potential, right?
Right.
And I know how to do it. So I can feel everyone's energy because I'm clairsentient. So I can feel you. I can feel if there's a block in the group. I can ask you to move it. And if I ask you to move the block, go ahead and just relax and release even deeper, right? Because that resistant energy doesn't want you to have the different experience. It's okay. You just let that go and you relax and release into it. So are you ready?
Yeah. Now, I just want to show everybody. I grabbed 2 spoons, a tablespoon and a teaspoon, but these are very heavy, solid cast.
Yeah.
Okay, these aren't pressed. You know what I mean? These are
Yes.
cast, very impossible to bend. Okay, just no. So I grabbed one of each.
Good.
Also the angles, I should have grabbed 2 of each so we could compare them after we're done. But you can see that these are the same, just heavy. And again, these are cast, polished, heavy pieces of cutlery. Okay.
Good.
All right. Which one do you want me to try?
Well, I want you to put them both down in front of you. Okay. I
Okay.
got my fork here too. And I want
Okay.
actually just pick one up and test it really good. Making sure you can't use your muscles to bend it.
No, you can't.
No, I mean it's super thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let me pull this up to the camera. You can see that
okay.
this is a
Yeah.
cast. All right. This isn't you know what I mean? This isn't
Yes.
this is cast. Okay. Okay, so I have it.
Okay. So you're going to just put, and anybody who's listening, do this too. Just put that down in front of you. All right. And now we're going to work with the subtle energy, right? We're going to, it's a few step process. So I can already feel there's some resistant energy, of course, because you've never done this before. You have some fear of what it means if you can do it and if you can't do it, right? You could have fear, which is a very low, it's a high resistant state is fear. So we just want to acknowledge that fear and then go ahead and let that go. So just think about where your fear might be. I'm feeling it a lot on the feminine side, a little bit on the masculine side. So just feel into your body and see, do I have any fear around what it means if I do this, right? And then you just acknowledge it for yourself and you can let it go. That's amazing. I can feel that release right now. Thank you. Yeah. So we're just going to, now that we're cleared, right? We're clearing our energy field. Now we want to build the energy up and we want to visualize. And this is where we get into the precog part of this, right? Because precognition does come into this at one of the stages of the manifestation or alignment process. It's when you have this idea that this is going to happen. Okay. And that's a very different energy than actually doing the bend, right? So we're looking for those 2 experiences and one's going to come before the other one. The precog is going to come first. It most likely will be a strong feeling like, oh, this is going to bend, or you're seeing it bend, or there's some awareness that the future moment involves that thing bending, okay? And then later, you're going to have a more subtle energy that's more of a knowing, like it's time to bend, right? And I'll help you. I'll feel into that simultaneously because we're focused into one another. Our fields are entrained. and now we're kind of working as one being right now. Okay, so I'll give you some verbal cues for when to take the next step. Okay, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, after clearing, I also like to call in my helpers and my, if there's any extra energy, like the ascended masters, I love for them to come in and support me, right? So that's another place we can build in some extra energy into our system and opening that channel. You can just imagine your crown opening up, and these trusted members of our team are allowing for their wisdom, their love to come in and support us in this work. So I'm just inviting everyone's helpers, supporters, to come in and support us in this, having this positive experience of our true nature, our true potential. Okay. Okay. So I'm feeling a little more resistance. So go ahead and release that. It's in the left leg. So go ahead and just let that go. If you feel any energy up, it's not a big deal. Just comes in, keep releasing, relaxing. Okay. Very good. So now we're going to think about a visualization. A visualization and stabilizing the visualization. So if you're sciencey people, analytical people, if you can think about the material of the fork or the spoon that you have, right? The material science of it, the way that the metal would normally bend is under heat, right? And the molecules getting excited, the energy getting excited, and it's getting really excited now. And you can just close your eyes and imagine that spoon really, really just melting and bending. And it's all those molecules are super excited, and they're just really intensely excited. And they're so fast, they could just melt in your hand. And now we want to build that expectation of it's even building up even more, and you're strongly holding that visualization in your mind's eye. That's how it's going to seed the matrix, right? Is to just have that stable idea of what you want to create. So we're just stabilizing that idea of this bent, melty, bendy spoon or fork. Okay, just do that. Okay, and if you have any doubts, you just let that go. If any fear, any thoughts come up of doubting, that's just interference patterns. We just let that go right out. Gone. Okay, now we're going to charge our visualization. So keep holding that visualization, keep holding it. Now you want to think about the thing that you're most excited about, the thing you love the most right now, whatever comes to mind. You can think of your, a loved one, a romantic partner, a mom, a dad, a nana, somebody, your dog, your cat, anything that's like Reiki masters. I saw in the chat some Reiki masters. They love service. You can think about service. That gets them really excited. They love to be of service. So whatever it is that gets you super excited, Jimmy hosting this incredible radio show, reaching so many millions of people. That's exciting. Spreading information of a positive nature, of an expanded nature. That's an exciting thing. So go ahead and charge that energy and that visualization up, where that melty, bendy spoon is just getting brighter and brighter. It's off the charts right now. Okay, that's very good. So the next step is the hardest for Westerners. It's letting it go. Okay. So just let that visualization out and go. Go ahead and let the energy go. And we're going to just relax a little bit and release and just let go of attachment to outcome, because the thing already happened, or it's not going to happen. And now it's not up to us. Now it's just going to happen or not happen based upon our power, of our visualization, and our letting go ability. So we're just letting all that go. And then what we're going to do is just wait in a state of wakefulness. So that state of wakefulness really tells us, it's time to bend, right? So if you get that feeling during just sitting here, like, oh, it's time to bend this. So you're going to bend it, and you're going to, you know, you'll have that knowing that it's time to bend. You'll want to pick up the fork or the spoon, and you're going to move the metal in a way or in a shape that the metal wants to bend, right? And you can keep doing that. And sometimes it really wants to turn, and you keep doing it. Okay. So you just stay in a wakeful state. You could have an impression, like a strong impression, like I want to do this. And if you get that impression, go ahead and try. What are you feeling right now, Jimmy?
This thing is bending.
I'm feeling that in my right hand. It feels like it should be, the energy is peaked. Yeah.
Huh. Huh. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I want you to talk. I'm going to go grab another spoon and compare them.
Okay. Sounds good.
So you just chat with everybody as I make
Okay.
this it's here's what's crazy. It's fucking bending.
It's a really big one.
That's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. 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 Are you moving it with like what are the
I'm just holding it like this
uh-huh.
and listening to you
Mm-hmm.
and just gently pull, but it's frigging soft right now. It's like
Well,
it's
bend it.
moving.
Use a little more force at the first time. See if you can just put and like do that, because it feels like it really wants to go.
It's a trip, man. This is thick,
I know.
thick, but I can see it moving. Okay, you chat. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Was anybody able to do it? If you could put it in the comments. Yeah. So here's, you can look like this. Yeah. Your spoon bent, but you're not sure if it was a weak spoon or something. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's okay if you don't know, right? It's the first time you do it. And really what PK is about is practice. It's about doing it over and over so that you maintain that awareness of being able to differentiate these subtle energies. Some of them are very subtle. And if you do it over and over, you're really going to notice within yourself how to identify certain energies within that practice because you become familiar with it. That's meditation, is the practice of.
Okay, so check this out.
Okay.
This is the new spoon.
Okay.
Okay, that's the
Okay.
new one.
All right.
Ice cold.
Ice
This
cold.
thing is hot. It's bleeping hot. It's hot. Okay, so I just compared it. Yeah, and so you can see they're just like
Yeah. Yeah,
that
for
that
sure.
that's insane to me.
And you
Now,
didn't even apply anything? Yeah. So the first time you do it, yeah, you should
what?
go for it because you already know from testing that it wasn't gonna bend just from your muscles, from the force, you know?
That is nuts.
So, yeah, you picked a really hard one for your first.
This is the bent one. I mean, you can just look at them side by side and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how different they are now.
And the one was really hot. That's the chi that moves into the metal. Yeah.
Wow,
I
that's
mean,
great.
it's not always is it hot, you know what I mean? Sometimes it gets hot after you've moved it around a lot and bent it, and it gets hot just from the movement, but,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just hot to begin with because that's the intention and your intention mixing with the physical object, and its potentials of change.
I've seen this done so many times. I was like, bullshit. No, 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 no. That's crazy. I would have thought that this was impossible. It's too thick.
Mhm.
You can't. Okay, it's still warm.
Yep,
It's
yep,
still warm.
yep.
This is the one out of the drawer, and um, wow. I mean, there's just no way that you're just going. You can't bend this,
Right,
but I just
right.
did.
Good for you.
Oh, man.
It's kind of a belief system breaker, because you watched other people doing it, but you doing it yourself really destroys that belief system.
How do I straighten my spoon back out?
Yeah, it's
You
they
must have
don't
a
really
whole drawer full of messed up
I
spoons.
yeah, I really just reuse them, because you know, you'd be always buying spoons and forks, you know, and,
It moved about this. I'm just looking
oh,
at it.
good.
It moved about the width of
Oh, I see.
this.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great, Jimmy. Yeah. You just play with it then. You rerun your process. You do the clearing. Um, for a spoon that size, Jimmy, I probably would have done a little Tummo practice, building up some fire in that central channel if you wanted to bend that big chunky monkey, big chunky metal spoon all the way.
Mhm.
You'd want to put in a little bit more energy, in the central channel to charge it up. But that's great. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you feel doubts? Did you have thoughts of doubts in your mind at any point?
You know what? You know what was okay? A couple of things happened. All right, a couple of things. Um, so you just tell me what was going on. A couple of things. So you mentioned my left leg. Okay. And when
Yeah.
but I was already feeling that in my left leg. I think I started laughing. I was like, how does she know that? Okay. So that was pretty strange. Okay. Could be anything. It's a 50-50 shot, right leg, left leg. Okay. What? Okay. All right. That's what was that guy's name? James Randi, right? He's always going to
Uh-huh.
poo on everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like James Randi in a weird way. Most of the
Mhm.
time, he just got under my skin. But anyway, so there was that. But then when you said I can't I was deep in it, but you said something like, okay, now let it go. And when you said that, everything went white for a second in my
Mm.
because my eyes were closed. And you said
Mm.
let it go, and it just went that was pretty wild. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Are you clairvoyant? Do you
I
see?
I I I think that I I think that we all have the gifts. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So a
I'm
lot
going to
of
say
so
yes.
your visuals are gonna from your third eye, the form that
Right.
the energy takes, you can, get your signals, your knowings about when things happen from those clairsentient cues or those claircognizant views. The intensity of the cue can be different. If you're a visual clairvoyant, if you're getting information that way, you're going to want to pay attention to the sights. If you're I'm clair, I have all the clairs, but when I mention the clair sentient information, which is the resistant energy that I was feeling in the left leg, that's just from mapping your energy onto mine so that I have an experience of what is happening for you.
Is it entanglement? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think you could use that word for sure.
Right.
It's created through an intention. A lot of Reiki practitioners do it because it's a really easy way of being able to find information about your client, and how they're feeling and where the resistant energy is, so that you can then target that area to be able to move that energy out. But just as a regular meditative practitioner, when you feel your own resistant energy, that's when you would release it and let it go, right? Because we're not
Mm-hmm.
aware of it. When we're not aware of it, we don't know what to do with, we don't know to let it go, right? So we just sit with it, and we just sit in this resistant energy without moving it out. But as soon as you become aware of it, you can move it out, and then that's when that other energy can move into making your creation.
Are you
Because
destabilizing at the quantum level? Are
I
you?
mean,
You know what I mean? Very subtle changes that must be happening at the quantum level with focused energy and possibly entanglement. I don't know of another scientific way to put this, but when you have that subtle change at the quantum level, a lot of very subtle, right? Very slight, but if you have a lot of it at the quantum level, is that what is happening here? Because this, anybody would tell you this is impossible. I picked impossible cutlery. This is
yeah.
impossible. You can't bend this. All right.
Mhm. Mhm.
I bought these because of that reason. I wanted it
Yeah,
to last forever.
right.
But is that what's happening at the quantum level? These a lot of very small changes are happening.
Well, I think, there's a lot of different ways that we can contextualize what happens to the energy. And I think the engineer in me likes to think about the quantum level,
Mm-hmm.
but the person who likes to work with time and change as a function of time prefers to think about it just switching timelines, right? Because to me, that seems to be an easier way to align. If all our potentials for every next now moment are available to us, right, within the field, and we have a sea of possibilities, we're going to pick and align to the possibility that matches our visualization, right? So we wanted to create, you wanted to create that bent spoon. So you just switched into the timeline where that spoon was bent because of that, because of your visualization, right? And that was the only change, right?
This thing is still warm, by the way. I'm touching the both of them. This one is cool,
Right.
and this one
Right.
it's been sitting here this whole time. But the
Yeah.
whole it's warm. I wish
Right.
I had somebody in here to back up my bullshit. Um, because it's that's pretty fascinating. I left this okay, and just for transparency for everybody. By the way, I set the spoon down in front of two quartz crystals that are sitting in front of me. Anyway, so that whole process, when you asked me to place the spoon down, that's where it sat.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
only picked it up for that minute or two to attempt the bend, which did happen, but the spoon, the whole thing is warm,
Mhm.
like from tip to tip. You can,
Mhm.
this is cool to the touch, and
So
including this part, the spoon part, It's warm right now.
What did you do in your visualization? Did you imagine the molecules speeding up
You know
and
what? You know what
melting?
I imagined? Okay.
What?
I imagined them exploding. Like,
Right.
I was seeing that. I was seeing the electrons flying. You know,
Mhm.
I wasn't provoked. That's just what came naturally. Well, I was,
Right.
you know, something atomic occurring, some Oppenheimer, some Feynman magic. But it's really funny how warm this is. It has
Well,
not cooled down.
don't you think those explosions from your visualization are are what manifested for you
Yeah,
in that
of
work?
course, for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure. That is fascinating, man. The I could take the one that I bent, this one. Okay, so when I lie it, okay, so check this out. I got to find something flat. Hold on. Stay with me. Okay. The only thing I have flat in here is this cell phone. Okay, here's a cell phone. All right. I'm looking at the two spoons, right? Okay, so this is the one that was bent and
Right.
it lies
Yeah.
flat. Here's this one, and look at the curve. Look at that.
Right.
It's like it's high.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
this, I'm looking at them lying flipped upside down. This thing is flat now. It is flat, people.
Yep.
It's flat. I bent it backwards. This one is still. Look at the curve on that thing. That is.
Yeah, no,
Do
I
you
I
see, do you,
absolutely.
do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now look at this one. Same place. See how flat it is? It's flat. It's lying
Yeah.
flat. Holy shit, man. Okay. So that was the other thing you wanted me to visualize. The what do I expect? You know what? That's what I expect. I expect, holy crap. I wanted that. That's the joy you get out of it. Right?
Yeah.
You want that. That's the reward. You
Yeah.
want to go, holy crap. I wanted to share something with you. I'm going to take I can't do this, but I'm going to post this online. Okay. I am going to take a picture for everybody. So when I post this online, there it is right there. That is crazy. Okay.
So Jimmy, now that you
Look
oh yeah,
at
that's good.
one is flat and the one in front is the unbent one. The one in back is the bent one, and it's completely flat on the desk.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. Okay, so when I was a kid, I was 6 years old, 7, and my mom every night. So if I'm 7, my mom was 27. She's a kid. She's a baby, right? That's what they did in the 60s. They cranked kids out, right? That's what they did. So my mom, before I would go to bed each night, I would see my mom getting ready to do stuff on the dining room table. And she would take out a ream of paper, right? 500 sheets, and place that down. She would get a pen. She would get all of us going. And one night, I just kind of watched. I was like, what is she doing? She was doing automatic writing. So, but I didn't know. And she was looking at the ceiling. It's like this, but she's writing. And then flip over and always look. And so in the morning, I would go in, and that ream of paper is now flipped upside down, and she wrote on like 500 sheets of paper. So after watching this go down, I said, Mom, what are you doing? Every night, she goes, oh, I'm doing automatic writing. What are you writing? She goes, I don't know. I literally said, my 7-year-old self, do you read it? No. What? Now, all I needed was that. She is just showing me how the world is. And I never let that go. I never let that go. It was a very, very cool thing. I didn't understand it, but she was just showing me that, you know, the world is a little bit nuttier than what you're taught in school, young man. You know, and so when it comes down to this, I cannot believe I just bent a spoon, by the way. I can't believe it. I'm going to post this image on social media so everybody can go and check it out. Absolutely incredible. Now, you teach these techniques, don't you?
Yeah, I teach them PK. I teach in one-on-one sessions called the Warrior Healer sessions. And any kind of subtle energy practice I teach, but you know, for some reason people are really into PK right now, so I'm doing a lot of those. And also with the Psi Games Intensives, we have one coming up in May in North Carolina, and we just finished one up in Austin, and those are really incredible experiences, really, really phenomenal people who attend and super fun. Everybody's doing new things all the time. So the energy is totally peaked and really great experience.
Can the Dalai Lama bend spoons? Does he do this?
I'm sure he, I'm sure
No,
he,
I'm not being cavalier. I mean,
yeah, yeah. You know, what are these are considered mundane cities, mundane superpowers. So
right.
the Dalai Lama is really concerned about the supreme city, which is enlightenment, and then teaching others about the supreme enlightenment city. So he would laugh if you like asked him about it. But he probably, I don't know, who knows? He's probably putting his hands in rocks and leaving his calling card that way, but more like playfully, you know, you know, as, as a joke. But yeah.
Right, right. And he is a jokester. He just recently, before we wrap up, excuse me, I meant to ask you this earlier. Did he say that he was the last Dalai Lama?
Well, he has talked, I don't know what his latest is, but he's definitely going to be the last Dalai Lama that incarnates. He's not going to incarnate in Tibet. So there's, you know, sort of this issue with the Chinese government where they say they're going to pick the Dalai Lama, you know, and the Tibetan people are the ones who pick the Dalai Lama. Specifically, the Panchen Lama picks the Dalai Lama, and um, and they go through tests, and there's a whole, you know, there's a whole testing system to make sure you have the right incarnation for that position, so that that mind stream that was the 14th ends up in the 15th incarnation, and that you've properly identified it. So he just says that the latest I've heard is he won't incarnate in China or in Tibet. He'll incarnate outside of the areas controlled by China.
But will there be a 15th?
I don't know. Do we want one?
Yeah, we need one.
I
Well,
agree.
how do we get a 15th that's as cool as, you know, 14?
I think
And
he said
14
I think he said he's going to come back as a woman. I think I've heard him
I
say
heard
that.
that. I heard that too as well.
Yeah.
When I heard him, and I know that you've listened to the same thing, when he talks about the experience as a kid when he was chosen, um, and you know, and they got the word, that was pretty fascinating. How that process, and you know, you get the knock at the door, you know,
Yep.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
he was what? He was 12, 8?
Oh,
How
no, I was like 4, I think,
or
when they
4? Yeah,
first
yeah,
identified him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he is adorable. He's like the cutest in those pictures, but they, you know, they put out his like for all the llamas that they find from, you know, the student the Tulku system, or finding these reincarnated lamas, is a very sacred practice of using divination and using precognition. They'll have dreams about where they're gonna, like His Holiness says, the party that was charged with finding him knew he would be in Amdo province. He knew he lived in
That's right.
Amdo, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and then they go test them with all of the old Dalai Lama's things, like his dentures and, his ritual, and then they have to pick, and they, and so that it is a psychic test basically. But kids oftentimes remember their prior lives, definitely in cultures that accept reincarnation, and DOPS is right down the street, UVA's Department of Perceptual Studies, founded by Ian Stevenson. And he's shown many times through his research that cultures that accept reincarnation as part of what they experience, the kids will readily remember who they, what family they just came from, where they lived, how they died. All of that is really easy for the kids to remember. So if you have any kids on the line, and they're young, ask them, what was your past life? Where did you come from before here? And see what they say.
Man, you are special.
Ah,
So is
who are
Quasar.
you? I know. He
so is
he
Quasar.
turned on the radio. He's a jokester. He's like, I'm really gonna mess with this guy.
Man,
So,
what a great show. I look forward to hanging out with you, but I would like to invite you back on and continue this conversation. It was just a magical evening, Kimla. Just thank you so much. Where can everybody follow all of your stuff? And if they want to go and attend one of the Psi Games get-togethers, where is all of that for everybody to chase you down?
yeah, you could go on www.kim-law.com, and that intensive is on there in the special events section. And then if you wanted to, just read on my page about what are the things I do or get inspiration, or work with me, all that info is on there. And I have a YouTube channel, but I don't post. Yeah, I don't do too much of the social media stuff, so it's pretty light. But it would be cool if all the people who spent their spoons and forks, if they posted it somewhere. Where could they post it? Is it on your page, or where do the people post pictures that are your
we
fans?
we have a few different social media portals to do that, but certainly for everybody, where I am going to post with our moderators is the Fade to Black group on Facebook. That's a pretty active group, and I'll post there. And then on the Jimmy Church Radio page, also on Facebook, that's a separate thing. And then I'll also do it on wherever my social media people post to. So that would include maybe Instagram and the other stuff that's out there. I don't know where they post everything to.
Yeah.
But we will definitely do it in the Fade to Black group on Facebook.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll post it there. Everybody take pictures and post. I'm absolutely here's the thing, and we're 3 minutes over right now. So I felt it move. And it was an impossible feeling. I didn't know if it was like if it was my imagination because I'm holding it. I didn't put that much pressure on, by the way.
I know. Well, by the next time you do it, Jimmy, do put more pressure on, because it does take until you get the mastery of it. It's going to take some pressure. It's like that transitional zone between
Sure.
that visualization and locking that in and actually having it manifest. You might need more physical oomph behind it to just get it, into that territory.
Okay. So when I first picked up the spoon, sitting in front of me, I'm just sitting here looking at it. One's flat, one's not. Anyway, when I first picked it up, and that's when the movement happened, right away, right away. It was like, with very little pressure. I mean, I was pretty shocked. I would, to be honest with you, I didn't think anything was going to happen.
Hey, I felt that.
You know what I mean? If you know
I do.
what
I do. Yeah.
But it did. That's the
Yes.
universe slapping you upside the head. You know what I mean? It's just like
Well,
anybody
it's
that
also playing with you. It's playing with you, you know. It's like you think it's not going to happen, so we're going to tease you, you know, we're going to do weird things, and then you're going to be, you know, have this strange experience of your potential, or this potential of what could happen, because it and I could tell it probably your higher self doesn't want it to be too easy for you, right? That's why
well, you
there's
remember
only
you remember that famous scene with the Oracle in the Matrix, right?
yes.
When Neo goes in, he sits down, and the girl go, you know, right with the spoon, and he was like, "What?" Well, you know what? Sometimes you have to let it go. You know, that's what you have to do. You just have to let it go. You um just how do I don't even know how to explain it. But when you said let it go, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to just get out of this reality and
Mm,
into some other place. That's what, if
mm,
you want to stay in the James Randi world, well,
that's right.
okay, miracles never happen,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right. You can create that reality too if that's the one you want, you know, and keep recreating it. But to do something different, you have to think differently. You have to let go of those limiting beliefs, and also acknowledge that they are in your field, right? We have a tribe. We live with one another. We want to be accepted by the tribe. We don't want to be by ourselves. And so we do provisionally adopt these limiting belief systems so that we can have an experience of one another, right? When I biofield image teen kids, all their chakras are open, especially their third eye, right? That's why they can see all the things they do. But when they become teenagers, they preferentially want to be with their friends, and they want to be in the tribe of their friends, and they don't want to be outside of it. So they close off that third eye and they become normies, right? They
Yeah,
become
well, no,
normies. Yeah.
the school system is doing that. You know, the thought of careers and moving on into college, all of that pondering as a child just slowly gets closed up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's part of the training. Unfortunately, that's what goes on. Kimla, thank you so much. We've got the website right there. Kimla.com is in the description below. We've also got it up in the chat, and I'll be posting these pictures over on the Fade to Black group over there on Facebook, so everybody can check it out. Kimla, thank you so much. Go hang
Thank
out
you
with
so much.
Quasar and enjoy the rest of your evening. Perfect
All
night on
right.
the show. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Perfect. Perfect night. Perfect. Perfect. That really happened. Absolutely incredible. Oh man, that's why I do this show right there. That's the perfect example of why I do this. All right, tomorrow night on Fade to Black, we have John and EJ Craig with us, and we're going to be talking about their work into proactive disclosure and their app and software that they have developed for all of this. That's tomorrow night on Fade to Black. So, but for now, all I've got is Go Backly Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Backly Tappy.